Women in Combat, a lawsuit against the Secretary of Defense for barring women from ground combat positions. Two local restaurant owners accused of nearly killing a homeless man. The latest developments in their case. At our top story, the skies may be calm now, but it's going to look a lot different tomorrow morning. A look at preparations for the big storm.
You're watching KSBW Channel 8, Salinas, Monterey, Santa Cruz. This is Action News 8. Coverage you can count on.
The weather's set to change. Enjoy this while it lasts. Over the next 24 hours, a lot is in store for us. You're looking live from our Skycam 8 Monterey. We're expecting the clouds to come in, the winds to pick up, and then the action will begin. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Green. We will get to our lead forecaster, Jim Vanderswant, in just a few seconds with a look at just where the storm is moving right now and when we'll be hit. But first, we have some breaking news out of San Benito County tonight, where one person is dead and several others were hurt in a 3-vehicle accident. It happened just before 3:30 on Highway 156 near San Felipe Road, this outside of Hollister. Now, the CHP closed the westbound lanes of Highway 156, which jams up the afternoon commute. However, we are told the highway reopened moments ago. CHP says it appears one vehicle ran a red light, hit another car and a big rig. Traffic again slow on the highway. Now back to our weather. Jim's been tracking this system. Jim, you said it was going to come in, and it looks like it's going to come in right on time.
Yeah, it looks like it's still on schedule. All the computer models had a good handle. The Bay Area will get the brunt of the action, but we will get a piece of it here about every other day, starting with tomorrow morning. There's a system out there. It's that comet cloud you see out in the Pacific. Ahead of it, just a lot of high clouds coming in. Later tonight, tomorrow, you'll still see some stars, but when that cold air comes in, we start to see the wind and the rain. Small streams could offer some flooding. The main rivers are still a little ways away from that. The chance of thunderstorms will be with this system as well. And the wind is worthy of high wind watches for most of all of our viewing area. High wind warnings along the coast from about, Davenport north all the way on up there. And that could mean the coast is going to get most of the brunt of this wind. And we also have a winter weather advisory up in the High Sierra. Snow levels initially will be fairly high, 6,500 feet up to 7,000 feet will benefit the ski resorts, which actually makes the passes a little bit easier to handle. But by Friday and Saturday, colder air will come in, and of course the snow levels will drop. Mostly cloudy is how we're going for tonight. The wind will start ramping up in the wee hours of the morning, and for morning drive, you better be ready for some wet, and particularly from about the peninsula north. It may take a little bit longer to get down in the south end of the valley. Wipers on during the day, lights should be on. Slow down a little bit, just offer a little more time, and everybody will get to where they're going. We'll talk timing on all this in just a bit, Dan.
All right, we'll look for it. Thanks very much, Jim.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
In Gilroy, the cold weather shelter is now open at the National Guard Armory for anybody who needs a warm place to sleep, a hot meal, and a shower.
This shelter in Gilroy is the only one open between here and I don't know where the other shelters are. This is the only shelter that I know of. And so depending on the weather, it gets full.
Really, it's just word of mouth through the homeless people. They actually, let their friends know, and we have people come from Santa Cruz, Gilroy, San Jose, Morgan Hill, and the surrounding areas.
Well, the National Guard says they're expecting a big turnout tomorrow because of the weather. The shelter will be open from 6 at night till 6 in the morning, and it will run through April the 14th. It can accommodate up to 300. Crews are preparing for all the rain that's expected up in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Action News reporter Phil Gomez continues our storm watch coverage. He's live from Santa Cruz with more on the preps.
Well, the Caltrans and Santa Cruz County Public Work crews say they're prepared for this series of storms that are expected to strike. They've got crews on alert and on call should they be needed for any hazards. In anticipation of heavy rainfall, county crews placed sandbags around culverts and repaired some of the potholes while they could before the storm strike. They've also delivered sand to local fire stations for residents who are concerned about rainwater runoff and flooding.
We're trying to get prepared best we can for that. We've got sandbags stockpiled. We've got sand. We're delivering some to some of the local fire departments for emergency use. And we've got some crews out there opening up culverts, double checking some of our drainage areas. North County usually gets hit pretty hard, so we've got want to make sure culverts are open and ditches are cleared.
And tomorrow morning's commute could also get ugly. The California Highway Patrol suggests motorists leave a little earlier than normal because there may be accidents or road hazards. And PG&E also has crews at the ready if called upon. And in the San Lorenzo Valley, Valley Churches United has sand available for sandbags. Dan?
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Phil. Don't forget, you can track this system as it comes through on our website anytime. And while you're at it, sign up for breaking news alerts at ksbw.com. On the Crime Watch, the scene in East Salinas just about an hour ago after a low speed, not a high speed, a low speed chase. Started with a routine traffic stop. The three men in the car that was pulled over sped away, led police on that slow chase through East Salinas. They eventually used a police car to nudge the getaway car, make it stop. The three men inside were arrested. Also on the Crime Watch, the two Salinas restaurant owners accused of nearly beating a homeless man to death were in court today. Police say that Robert and James De Leon beat a man into a coma outside their Old Town restaurant. Today, they pleaded not guilty to those charges. Action News reporter Felix Cortez has details tonight. He's live at the Monterey County Courthouse.
Well, Jan, those brothers have been charged with attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. In this case, that weapon being a baseball bat. We have the brothers in court today. That's Robert De Leon, pictured on the left, his younger brother James on the right. They made their first court appearance today, both pleading not guilty to both charges. The owners of the XL Grindhouse in Old Town Salinas are accused of beating a homeless man with a baseball bat, beat him into a coma outside their restaurant because they were tired of him loitering around their business, according to police. Outside the courtroom, their attorneys painted different pictures of the accused.
Well, certainly James has a very good reputation. He's referred to as a gentle giant. Others have referred to him as a big teddy bear. So he is somebody who is a valued member of our Old Town community.
What I can tell you about Mr. De Leon is he is not a man with a prior record, certainly not anything serious like is involved in this allegation in this case. They are dedicating their time and energy to that business and also being involved in their children's lives and things like that.
Contact on your behalf. In court today, the judge ordered the restaurant owners to stay away from the alleged victim, who was identified as Raymond Anderson but goes by the nickname Ramon on the street. Friends tell me he's still in the hospital but doing much better. The brothers accused of beating him both remain behind bars tonight. Dan.
All right, thank you very much, Felix. A preliminary hearing for Robert and James De Leon has been scheduled for December 31st. Now, meantime, the second criminal trial for Carl Bergstrom is still scheduled for January. Last year, an appeals court overturned the Carmel doctor's forcible rape conviction because of faulty jury instructions. Today, Bergstrom was in court as his defense attorney tried to get more evidence. Bergstrom remains in custody on $750,000 bail. 4 service women, along with the American Civil Liberties Union, are now suing the Defense Secretary, Leon Panetta, over the military's policy to exclude women from combat. Action News reporter May Chow has more live in our Salinas newsroom.
Dan, the ACLU says that this policy is unconstitutional and that the Pentagon is not moving quick enough to change it. So this morning, the ACLU filed this lawsuit challenging the long-standing policy barring women from thousands of ground combat positions. Lawyers cited the changing nature of warfare and fairness for career soldiers and say the ban limits career opportunities for women. The 4 women in this lawsuit have all been involved and have all completed tours in Iraq or Afghanistan, where they served in combat or led female troops on missions.
Today, 4 servicewomen who have served our country in Iraq and Afghanistan, in the Marine Corps, the Army, and the Air Force, have come forward, along with the Servicewomen's Action Network, to challenge the so-called combat exclusion policy in a federal lawsuit against the Department of Defense.
This lawsuit filed in San Francisco federal court, and it does name U.S. Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta as a defendant. Pentagon spokesperson today said that Panetta, quote, remains very committed to examining the expansion of roles for women in the U.S. military, and that he's done so. The lawsuit comes as the Department of Defense has slowly been dropping its gender-based restrictions. In February, it allowed some women to serve in combat battalions, but women are still not allowed in infantry or in units that are engaged in combat. Dan.
All right, thank you very much, May. You can find the full lawsuit along with biographies of each of the female military members involved on our website at ksbw.com. As we approach the fiscal cliff, President Obama is heading out to campaign later this week for tax hikes on the rich. Republicans don't like that. Action News reporter Steve Handelsman with more on the fight.
Business leaders came to the White House to urge a deal to avoid the cliff. Across-the-board tax hikes could kill their profits and the recovery. President Obama is negotiating by phone with top Republicans, but to push tax hikes on the rich, he flies Friday to Philadelphia to take his case to the public, irritating GOP leaders.
In other words, rather than sitting down with lawmakers of both parties and working out an agreement, he's back on the campaign trail.
The White House says on November 6th, the president won proof that the nation wants a tax hike on the rich.
The election was pretty conclusive in terms of which path a majority of the American people want to take.
Democrats could get what they want, the rich paying more than their current 35%, and Republicans could get what they want, no return to the old top rate of almost 40%.
Current law has on January 1st the top rate going to 39.6. So if they raise it only to 37, that's a tax cut from current law. Republicans can brag about that. Democrats can say they got higher tax rates on the rich.
But spending cuts, Medicare reform, has to be a part of any deal to avoid the cliff. Republicans insist. And the number 2 Democrat in the Senate says his side has to agree.
We need the same willingness to step forward on the left. Everything on the table. Repeat, everything on the table.
5 weeks to go. No deal yet. To many now, both sides look like they're just killing time until the deadline is days away and the pressure's even more intense. But the White House today denied it. From Washington, I'm Steve Handelsman, KSBW, Action News 8.
Coming up on Action News, you like grapefruit juice. Well, it turns out mixing it with some drugs could be dangerous for you, some say. We'll tell you what you need to know. 500 million reasons to get to Arizona or Oregon to buy a Powerball lottery ticket. And the man behind Elmo facing yet another sex scandal. Coming up on Action News at 5.
You're watching the #1 news choice on the Central Coast with Dan Green, Health Watch 8 with Aaron Clark, and KSBW Weather with Jim Vanderswan. Coverage you can count on. This is Action News 8 at 5.
In news across America, yet another accusation leveled at former Elmo puppeteer Kevin Clash. A third man has now come forward accusing Clash of having sex with a teenage boy he met online in 2000, the third alleged victim to come forward. Clash has denied wrongdoing. He resigned as the voice of Elmo earlier this month. The holiday shopping season and the economy got a boost from Cyber Monday. Numbers released this morning show it was the biggest online shopping day ever. Especially mobile devices, it turns out, were a big factor. Sales up 30% from last year on Cyber Monday. iPad responsible for 7% of that. Okay, if you have friends or family out of state that you can really trust, the Powerball lottery has reached $500 million. Big dreams among the hopefuls buying tickets all over the country. They're lining up, hoping against hope that this will be their winning ticket. We know what they want for Christmas. Then in the Northeast, they could have a white one if this sticks around. Probably won't, but it could get more. West Virginia up to New York, they saw the white stuff. Winter weather advisories, slippery conditions in the Northeast corridor. 1 to 3 inches in some spots. It's that time for active weather, and we're going to get our piece.
That's right. The old jet stream and all that good stuff moving along at a winter's clip, which means things start to change a little quicker. Still in all, we didn't have a bad day here. Right now, we're still doing upper 50s to low 60s. You got a mix of clouds, a little blue sky in between. Of course, all that's going to stars and a slice of moon as we get to the full moon. 50s, 60s elsewhere. Still 74 down in Palm Springs, cooling off a bit up at Tahoe. Cooling off a lot, though, starting in the Pacific Northwest, highs in the 40s. Then you're in the 20s. So you get to Chicago, 37 in New York, and all the way down to 48 in Dallas. All of a sudden, the map has gotten rid of all the yellows and oranges. We're going to blues and greens. Snow flying over parts of the Great Lakes. Here's the system that Dan was talking about in the Northeast. That's bringing snow there. Rain stretching all the way down to the panhandle of Florida. One cold front with cool air behind it, but not a lot of new precip there. That's all coming out of this system. Here's an upper level low of some concern. This low is going to wrap around. More cold air diving down. This will be the first storm we see tomorrow. This is the next one that comes in later in the weekend, and there's another one behind that. And all of this is going to be really good for, California as far as the water. Windy tomorrow, then the rain comes in early in the morning. Front passes by later in the afternoon. The next one points into northern California. Notice we're here, so Thursday we won't see much of it till about Thursday night. Lots of heavy rain coming in, with heavier rain coming in Friday, and another even wetter storm on Sunday. So it's about every other day for us, but the northern part of the state is going to take it just about every single day. First one, nothing huge. It's going to be a quick mover, 1/4 of an inch to 1.25 inches, likely for the coast and the valleys. Farther north you are, the wetter you get. About 1 to 2 inches for the mountains. You can pretty much double those numbers for Friday and probably close to triple on Sunday's system. Mostly cloudy, strong gusty wind coming in later tonight. That's going to knock over a few trees. Power could go out. Be ready for that. Wind and rain, chance of thunderstorms. Could get some hail out of the deal. Showers in the afternoon. The winds, by the way, will be strongest in the morning and then taper off later in the afternoon. Following day, mostly cloudy, chance of showers, but you got a better chance, say, from the Santa Cruz Mountains north into the Bay Area. That will stay pretty active until the line drops on our sky again about Friday morning. 64 degrees, wind and rain for the morning, then it tapers off to showers, so just be extra careful out there. Snow levels, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to be high initially. They will begin to drop on Friday, and by Sunday you're talking major winter storm, and then skiing next week is going to be something awesome. So there you go.
All right.
See, there's a good side to everything.
You bet.
Silver lining.
There you go. We'll take it. Thank you, Jim. We'll check it with you in a bit.
You bet. Thanks, Dan.
Coming up on Action News, how grapefruit could be dangerous depending on what medication you're taking. And the star of the hit comedy 2.5 Men now slamming his own show, telling viewers not to watch. What it's all about. First, Erin's here in our newsroom with some breaking news. What's going on, Erin?
We do have breaking news, Dan. It's out of Monterey in the Naval Postgraduate School. Just minutes ago, we learned that the Secretary of the Navy has fired the top 2 administrators at the Naval Postgraduate School, President Daniel Oliver and Provost Leonard Ferrari. They were fired for, quote, mismanagement and fostering an atmosphere of defying Navy rules and regulations. We will have all the details on this breaking news, this big story, developing story, coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. Plus, new developments in the McGraw-Hill restructuring and what it means for their Monterey offices. And a group of California prosecutors, including a local county, reach a settlement with a weight loss company that made false claims. What it could mean for those of you who may have used that product. Those stories and a whole lot more at 6 tonight. We'll see you then.
The youngest star of 2.5 Men says the show he stars on is filth and you shouldn't watch it. Angus T. Jones, there's videos that surfaced on the religious website ForerunnerChronicles.com in which the actor talks about how he found religion and why his new lifestyle does not jibe with the hit CBS show. A rep for 2.5 Men is not commenting on those videos. There and Back Again, the subtitle of Tolkien's book, The Hobbit, has some resonance for New Zealand. There are fans greeting actors from the movie today. The country is preparing for the release. Like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Hobbit was filmed extensively on location in New Zealand. Premieres there in Wellington, if you happen to be hanging out in New Zealand, on Wednesday. What's up? What's up, Dan?
Hi, Dan. A notable passing in the world of baseball today, and for you younger people, I'm sure you've probably never heard the name Marvin Miller. But in baseball, for every 260 hitter that then got to sign a $2.5 million contract next year with a different team, you know who Marvin Miller is, and you should say a prayer for him tonight. Marvin Miller, longtime Baseball Players Union chief, died today. He was 95 years old. This guy, instrumental in changing the face of the sport. Why? He's the guy who created free agency. Back in 1975, players finally allowed to change teams, signing for whatever another team would offer them. Marvin Miller is the man who made that happen. So all you great millionaire baseball players, you owe a debt to Marvin Miller. Passed away after a long bout with cancer. He was 95 today, as I said, in New York. We got local high school basketball starting tonight. We still have 2 teams playing the CCS Championship football games this weekend, but the local basketball season begins tonight. A number of games in the area. We'll run down that situation when we come back in about an hour, Dan.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Aaron's coming up next with our Health Watch. First, though, let's see how we finished the day on Wall Street. The Dow today was down 89.25 to finish at 12,878. NASDAQ down 9, finishing at 29.67. And we're back in a minute.
Health Watch tonight, eating grapefruit can apparently be dangerous for people taking certain prescription medications. Canadian researchers say there are 85 drugs that can interact with grapefruit, and 43 of them can have serious side effects or even cause sudden death. Fruit contains a chemical that can accelerate the effects. Researchers say grapefruit poses risk to those taking commonly prescribed drugs like Lipitor, Zocor, and Plavix. A new report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates over 12,000 new HIV infections occurred in 2010 in people between the ages of 13 and 24. Infections were found most often among young gay and bisexual men and African Americans. The report also indicates more than 60% of those young people living with HIV are not aware that they're infected. The number of women undergoing a double mastectomy has nearly tripled since the mid-90s. A new study from the University of Michigan suggests 70% of double mastectomy patients elect to have both breasts removed, despite a low cancer risk.
That we can do is try to inform the patient and try to put their risk into numbers the best that we can and try to give them some perspective.
Peace of mind is apparently a big part of why a woman decides to undergo a double mastectomy, in some cases stronger than even the diagnosis. You can get much more health news on our website anytime. Just click on the Health tab at KSBW.com.
Very good. Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome.
More coming up. First, though, let's get a live picture right now. Skycam 8 Salinas, the view from atop Salinas Valley Memorial. Jim Vanderswan is next. We're going to get a recap of that system on its way in. Sunrise, sunset times now, and we're back in a minute. All right, another check of our weather. Jim?
All right, Dan. Hopefully all ships are in port right now. National Weather Service has hoisted the gale warning for tomorrow. The morning time is the worst with the winds. Winds of 15 to 35 knots, some higher gusts, and pretty good swell, so not a good time to be on the water if you can avoid it. We'll figure on rain tomorrow. We'll take a little breather on Thursday, just a chance of showers. More rain Friday, and again, a stronger weather storm Sunday with showers in between on Saturday. So you can dance between the raindrops from time to time, but be ready for some wet.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you, Jim. And again, you can track it on the website anytime at KSBW.com. That's it for now. We'll see you back at 6. Till then, have a great night, everyone. You take care.